Talking to people about what it means to be a public access producer and how easy it actually is to do.
You're also the camera person, as well as the spokesperson, as well as the producer and director. Hi, I'm Robert Langley, and I have the Cablevision show called Peace and Justice. It's on Channel 20 at 7:30 p.m. It's a great time slot, and we're very pleased to have it. Jean has her show, which is called Just Peace. That's on Mondays on Channel 20 at 3:30 also. The reason that we got into this, I think, probably is kind of a catalytic effect that sort of came from knowing Brian. Brian O'Hare, who probably will speak later if I can convince him to do so.
Well, speak now. Get out of my way.
Speak now. Basically, one of the things is he basically did all the work for us and says, you guys can do this yourselves. He's got a fabulous show, which we'll talk about later. Because right now we're talking about my show.
There you go. Hey.
But we will
have to tell the difference sometimes.
Well, it really is, and it's funny you mention that, which is really good. There's not enough progressive media around, and one of the reasons we got into it is, other than Brian and a few other people, we weren't seeing what we wanted to see on television. And the public access is a great opportunity for people to produce their own shows, and we see a lot of things on there, and not too much political stuff as much as I would like to see, or socially relevant things. There's a lot of church stuff, which is fine. There's a lot of shows that really address multicultural issues, which is also great. But our purpose in doing this was really twofold. The first thing was to be able to cover relevant political events in the community, such as anything to do with the Green Party, I will cover. Now you know where my allegiance is on that.
Thank you, Robert.
That's where it starts. Or any other, political event that we feel needs to have coverage. The last thing I had on was some really great footage of the March on Washington. We were down there, and on my show last week, I may be convinced to repeat it this coming week too. We really had a sense of the crowd building, people, the coming into Washington to do this event. We had no idea. We hoped it would be as large as it was, and then we have some shots looking down Capitol Hill where it's absolutely endless with people coming down, so we felt really good about being able to produce that show and put it on. The other piece that we do, it's kind of an amalgamized thing called Peace Through Music. In addition to covering political events, we like to cover the musicians.
It's supposed to be peace through words and music.
Oh yeah, we added the words in because we also do poetry. Thank you. I stand corrected. I'd sit, but I'm not going to.
That was Jean, our other
That was Jean off camera, which we'll get on camera. She just turned her own camera on herself. We like to shoot things together. We both have our own cameras, and we have some pretty good editing equipment, so we can kind of get two different perspectives on a given event, and we get to edit the things in and fade them in and out, and we sometimes discuss who had the best camera shot and who had the best coverage or whatever else it is. And I think she's a little better than I am at this particular point. But I have a good camera, so I'm trying to make up for it with that. But the music thing, having Denise Romas was a real pleasure for me. I've known Denise for a while. We have covered a lot of other musicians, and one of my personal favorites is a band called Blacklisted, and the band, B-A-N-N-E-D. One of the reasons is my personal favorite because it contains Sonny Meadows, my absolute favorite political songwriter, and it also contains me, my favorite percussionist other than everybody else on Long Island. So it's a chance to kind of really write political material as well as covering political events. And so we have a new album coming out called I Never Thought I'd Miss Richard Nixon. And you can figure out why. And there's some great songs on there. Sonny's a very prolific writer.
And you can get more information at sunnymeadows.com.
You can get more information at sunnymeadows.com. We don't have a blacklisted website yet. But anyway, we kind of bounce back and forth between doing political events and covering socially relevant demonstrations or anything at all, and also between covering a lot of different musicians. And all of the music doesn't have to be political, as long as it's kind of based with peace and kind of based with...
Well, it's multicultural.
It's multicultural.
We have assortment of friends and acquaintances, and we did the Gandhi tribute.
Why don't you tell us about the Gandhi? We were able to cover that and put that on in two different parts. We then sent a copy of the tape to ITV, which is India Television in Queens, who asked us to cover that. We did. So they have a copy, and they broadcast that. Not only to... They also went back to India, which I found out later on. So that was a good feeling to know that we're doing something that can be seen worldwide. So it's a pretty cool thing. We have a lot of good ideas for shows. we try to just sort of react to what's going on. Jean has, what other ideas do you have to do?
Oh, we're doing domestic violence. We have a speaker for domestic violence.
The reason that we're here tonight...
Oh, we have poets.
We should mention Pat Falk, who's a great poet.
Yes.
We covered her doing her reading.
Feminist poet.
Fabulous poet. And so we like to cover a lot of the arts as well as...
And, also we have a performance artist who's also a peace poet, Dana Dillon.
But we kind of put together a balance and a mix of things along the lines. And you can see that we are very enthusiastic about what we do. And we're here to get other people enthusiastic.
Right, and we did the Seacliff Mini Mart too. And, you don't know it, like, even though we've addressed some musicians and we've given them a little flyer and then we've never heard from them again. But when we connect with musicians who do like the premise of our show, like Russ Seeger and Brian Sedrowitz, they said, yeah, come on down.
We'll be doing them this weekend, doing the thing. And we're going to be meeting with this woman, Dana, who we're going to put together. We're going to film a performance piece in New York City. She's written something we haven't seen yet, so we're going to kind of meet and see how we can produce this thing. So we have a lot of ideas coming at us from a lot of different people.
That's why we have to renew our show. See, I think initially the plan was because our friend Rose, she has a cable show, but she really doesn't, do too much with it because she just got the application. And that's what we had originally planned. But being the people we are, we decided to take it over.
We want to just explain that the process is very, very simple. If you don't own a camera, you can still produce a TV show. They have facilities that are there, but you have to take a little basic training that they do about how to use TV cameras in the studio. You can produce the shows in the studio, but you have to be on a waiting list to gain access. It's a lot easier if you're a self-producer and you can do things independently because you control everything that you do and you just drop the tape off after you edit it and they'll put it on. As long as you give them 72 hours to not screen the tape, but have it ready to go. So you can do it without a camera. If you have a camera, it's a lot better to be there, but if you want to have an idea for a show and you want to produce it in the studio, you can still do that. They will teach you how to edit if you want to take a course on editing. They'll teach you about a lot of different production techniques. So if you don't know it on your own and all you have is a lot of great ideas, you can still have the opportunity to actually do a show. So we're here because Brian encouraged us to get involved in this. And so to kind of carry this thing on, we're having a great time doing this. We know that other people are going to be interested in doing it too. Ian and Kimberly are producers-to-be, we hope, at some given point in time. I see the application sitting over there.
We were.
You were.
We chose for
We just didn't do it as flamboyantly as you. We borrowed from Terry.
And Brian also talked us into it.
Brian is the catalyst for a lot of reasons. So we also hope to be the catalyst.
I just want to see good TV. That's
Exactly. There wasn't enough stuff on that we found. So what I'm encouraging people to do, if you have some ideas or anything, and you don't want to produce the show, give us the ideas and we'll work with it. If you've got some creative stuff, we're not the creative bank for everything. And we have some good ideas, but we're looking for other people to throw some stuff at us and see if we can make those realistic.
Yeah, lots of alternative issues. We could get in lesbian productions, music. We like alternatives.
So we're looking to kind of encourage people to kind of do things on their own. So send us your ideas. You can use the email, which is peacethroughmusiccable@hotmail.com.
Could you do 2 seconds about the premise of why you can get a free public access show?
It's required by the federal... who requires that? The FCC requires that stations providing cable service provide public access. And you'll see it throughout the country. It's not just here. And they have to set across a certain amount for people to produce things that they think are relative to the community.
Good.
So that has to be set aside.
What a good thing to do.
It's a great thing that they do. I give them a lot of credit for doing that. And I don't know if they would do it without the FCC or not. But the people at Cablevision have been very good. They're easy to reach about things, and they work with you in a lot of ways to get the productions done properly, and they're pretty flexible about things. So I've been very pleased with actually being able to do stuff for them too. But the premise is anybody can do this, and everybody should be thinking about being involved with public access. Yeah, okay, I'm competing for spaces with people. I don't care. I'd like to see somebody else out there. We all want prime time. We all want to get the good things. If I get stuck at 1 o'clock in the morning in this cycle, I'm stuck at 1 o'clock in the morning. Everybody should be able to videotape or TiVo or whatever else it is. So I'm hoping to still get a good slot at
Well, they
slot.
do give you choices, and the hint is, as soon as you get the call back immediately, because that way you'll get it.
What do you got, 8 or 10 choices you do?
How long is, because I just kind of assumed that so many people would want to be on this, that it would be hard to get a show, because it would be in great demand.
There are people on waiting lists, but a lot of people are afraid to take the leap. I think everybody, not everybody, but many people own a camera and do kind of little home things. YouTube is kind of responsible for making people producing accessible material for people. The trouble is with YouTube, the good part is you can reach a gazillion people. The bad part is it's limited in terms of how much you could put on there if you're a producer. You have to be a producer, you know, in their frame of reference to do more than 10 minutes.
What cable? How much time do you have to show?
29 minutes and 50 seconds is what you get. And you find you can do an awful lot if you know how to edit.
But what we
it down.
found out, though, talking to other cable people, because when we go to the marches, there's always people videotaping also, that some shows, like Riverhead, has an hour.
I think you can get an hour show.
Yeah.
You can get an hour show, but those primetime slots, they really prefer to have it a half an hour. So,
The thing with public access, it's a work in progress, and there have been people people say, oh, I inspired these guys, gave me the application, told me to, and I'm doing it again tonight, telling people fill out the application or get a hold of the application because it needs to be postmarked realistically no later than next Tuesday. But before
February 13th.
right, Tuesday 13th.
I thought you had to send it in on that day.
Well, yeah, it has to be postmarked on that day because once they get it, this goes into the whole thing that Terry and I and other people were working on. Before I got involved, Bob Goldberg was producing.
Right,
I saw him, and
yes.
you know, of course, Glendora is the great grandmother of us all. But as far as this this thing with the you know, allocation of everybody wants a good slot and all that. They just added another channel last cycle. Channel 115 is now a public access spot. So it's an ongoing thing. They're supposed to meet the public requirement for public access. So it's really, you know, they do administer public access, but the public owns the airwaves, and they happen to have a monopoly on the cable. So in exchange for the monopoly on the cable that runs under the public streets and all that, they provide public access as required by whatever law in the federal books. So they are, the people that administer the public access are very cooperative and all that, but Cablevision itself is not looking to promote public access and encourage public access, you know, because, you know, it's a cost to them. It's not a profit-making thing because it's the public, no advertising, you know, it's the public that generates the material for information. You know, I think it's the way media really should operate, and I'm very happy with, you know, seeing other people programs like Robin Jeans and Terry's, and I always, you know, check out those channels first. Channel 20, Channel 115. Okay, now I'll see what else is on. You know, you go to, but the key thing that, you know, wanted to mention is you don't have to do what Gene and Robert are doing is wonderful. This is what you hope, you know, creative people doing creative, wonderful things. But even if, you know, you said, well, I just want to see, you know, good program. Maybe I could get a time slot and I could air some of the material that Gene and Robert, Terry, or myself would.
Right,
Democracy
because Brian
Now.
has great DVDs, right?
Yeah, the DVDs people make, and you know, it's growing. You know, this whole media here tonight. We have 3 cameras. We can add, edit, distribute. You know, get material out to people, and it's a you know, a rage. You know, like Democracy Now is on in 500 cable markets around the country. You go to the website, they'll tell you it's, you know, 3 slots in Tampa. They're, you know, it's all over the place because the public is saying we want control over what we watch. We don't want to watch this what you're, you know, the networks are putting out there. You know, Dancing with the Stars. You know,
Desperate Housewives.
Desperate Housewives. I like them, though. But you know, but whatever it is, you want to have an opportunity, an opening to create and to put things out. So all you need to do is get a copy of the application. I didn't bring mine tonight, but I know there must be one around.
There's 2.
Yeah.
You're required to live within a cable district. Basically, Long Island is set up into certain cable districts. Nassau County and Western Suffolk is under the Woodbury system. Most of Mid-Suffolk is under the Hauppauge/Brookhaven system, which is the same basic system. Riverhead has a system. East Hampton has a different thing. But it's a district, that as long as you live in the area, that isn't covered. You don't even have to have cable TV. You could have a dish. You could have. All you
can even have the
just
same
to
address.
live.
Robin and I have the same address.
You could also actually put in to produce the show in all those different regions. Like West Houston has a music show that he does, West Houston Presents. And he did it in Queens because he lives in Queens. It's now in Nassau County, and it's also in Hauppauge Brookhaven. So he's able to do it. He's got to juggle a lot of different things, but he was able to get that on at all 3 different locations, which is great when you're able to do that. So if you're motivated, you can get it done. You can reach more people is the goal.
I think Glendora, as I mentioned, she's been on for like 30 some odd years. She's a public access pioneer, and she's on in probably 50 or 60 cable markets around the country. So she's really been dedicated to this for years. But more people are picking up on it, and I figure wherever I live, I'll support a public access program. You're entitled to apparently 1 or more if they become available. But as the demand grows, we need to assert our right to this access. Not that so much Cablevision grants us, but that we are entitled to it and they administer it. And right now my show is on channel 115 on Wednesday nights at...
Which is the digital I.O. cable.
Yeah, it's only if you have I.O. And a lot of these things are, like in changing, they accept...
When is yours on?
Wednesday night, it's on probably at the tail end of it now.
Extended cable.
I forgot what I was there.
What are we watching tonight, Brian?
What was on? I think I reran it. It was...
That's why I kept it on 20, because I figured I could reach more
something,
people.
yeah.
And Brian, what's the name of your show?
A demonstration of some sort.
Workers?
The show for the
Show
workers.
for the workers.
Yeah. But we had Chris Hedges' fantastic speech at the World Can't Wait. You can really see it at the World Can't Wait website if you haven't. Chris Hedges, and we had some demonstrations. We'll have one from January 27th. The things that aren't shown so much in the...
Vietnam Veterans Against the War. That's something we've
Yeah.
covered a number of different times on a couple of different events.
Cinema Arts Center.
So, and the thing that Brian was alluding to is the fact that we can exchange media. We can actually take something and put it on our show. I can give him something, he gives something to me, I can give something to you, whatever else it is. And this way it kind of gets out there for more people to see.
What's the format you have to use?
You have a choice of a lot of different formats. You can use good old standard VHS, which is the cassettes that everybody has. You can use half-inch videotape, which is more professional, but it's still that kind of a tape. You can use a DVD format, give them a done DVD that you can burn. You can edit it on a computer, burn it on the computer, and hand it in, and it's done. You can use mini DV or regular DV cam, which is another format. So it's multi-format.
Wow.
DV cam is the professional version of digital video. The consumer version is mini DV, which is exactly the same tape that's run at a slightly different pitch. So it doesn't really mean anything.
Really?
The point is you can give them just about anything.
DV cam, huh?
Yep, DV cam is fine. You can use that, or mini DV
This?
is good. That's mini DV. And all I do is I edit this stuff out, take it. I have a little mixing board that I bought, which allows me to put 2 and 3 cameras in. I can fade in,
Wow.
fade out, freeze something of that, or use chroma key background. The thing I wanted to do with the band, which is Blacklisted, is we perform a lot of these songs. So I'm going to use some of the shots I got of the White House and some of the shots I got of the Capitol building, as if we're playing there on the steps.
Great.
With the guards going by, going like this. So we're allowed to do
Awesome.
that. So it's a great production tool to kind of get your points across.
And I'm sorry, I think that you can, I think when you start, some people just don't edit. So if somebody is new and they don't think they know things very well, they could just shoot 29 minutes.
All I
and
would
then
say to somebody is shoot smart. Think in your head where it is when the thing is over, like when I'm done saying something and that's the end of my particular statement, you stop the camera. And then you want to bring somebody else up to do it, that's fine. Me, I can get a lot of dead time in there and I can just keep piecing it and cutting it out when it's not interesting or whatever, or get rid of whole pieces. So you don't have to edit. Some cameras have the ability for you to edit 8 times. You can just sort of stop something and sort of drop it out. You're able to look at that. So a lot of cameras will allow you to do that. But if you don't, just shoot it. Some people have even put their daughter's birthday party on, I understand. So whenever you're looking for a tape, it's great.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where one time I saw a band playing and just the sound was awful. It was just like somebody in the audience recording the band and you barely heard the music.
The sound is a difficulty with that. That's the only thing I'll say with music. And I happen to have recording equipment. and mixers and all these things where I can jack up the signal, I can reproduce it, I have digital delay, I can do anything to it to kind of enhance it to make it a little bit better than it is. In fact, I really bring it up to a high level and then equalize it so that it will come across as good as possible. The reason it's like that is because of the thing called bandwidth. They're only going to give you so much bandwidth on a given show because it's not the same as you would get on a regular television station. Although on 115 you get better quality and more bandwidth because it's digital. So the quality you're going to get is probably better. Although I was looking at the video we shot of Washington, beautiful, absolutely clear stuff. There was no degradation of signal at all. It was absolutely wonderful. So the point is, any of those formats will get you where you want to go.
What's a high-end professional setup go for?
Cameras, you can get a camera to do the job from anywhere between $250 to $5,000. That thing is about
$350.
I don't know. It's about $2,000 that I got for $1,400. I had to do that. On compromise is the ability to shoot in low light. This thing I can shoot in very low light and not worry about it. It's one of the reasons I got it because it helps me shoot it in less than ideal circumstances, whether you're at a music event or a political event. But even still, you can compensate for that by making sure there's enough ambient light wherever you do your shooting.
So high-end.
Can I say something about Verizon?
Sure.
As you know, Verizon is getting into the programming business and providing television shows on Long Island. And they negotiated franchise agreements with all the towns on Long Island, including Huntington. And I went down there and I put in my 2 cents. But the Huntington Town Board listens politely. Well, sometimes they sleep. But they do whatever Verizon or Cablevision wants them to do. And it turns out they did require Verizon to include a public access channel. And you can, I forgot to bring the phone number, you can apply for a public access show on Verizon. And the terms are as follows. It has to be a VHS 1/2-inch tape. You can apply for a single program or a series. A series lasts 13 weeks, so you have to reapply every 13 weeks, not every 6 months. I thought Cablevision was bad. Verizon is horrible.
They make it really hard for you to do something. I mean, there's a lot of constraints on there. Most people don't access half-inch VHS
Every
tape.
13 weeks.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
terrible.
all this is taking place under the the context of the large monopolies really running against public access. I mean, there was a big campaign recently to save public access, and I'm sure it's still just as it's to save net neutrality, kind of the larger media issues about preserving low power.
Now, if you want to do a show, you have to know that you have 6 months worth of stuff. Like, what if you just want to do 1 or 2?
Then the best thing to do is make friends with the producer and do something. If you want to do something on health, nutrition,
6 months.
healing, you want to do stuff on healing or world nutrition or anything like that, you can produce a whole thing. You have the idea and somebody else can do it. And then you get 1 or 2 things that are actually on, and you make a copy of the DVD for yourself, so you can then show that to other people if you're doing public speaking or venues. It doesn't always have to be shown.
It basically will air what you want to. When I first started about 7 or 8 years ago, I've never had any problem, with Cablevision as far as my show airing, but occasionally there might have been something. I don't think there was anything with any of the shows. There was a glitch with the sound in one episode, but they basically administer it, air it. They don't critique it. They're not supposed to critique it and decide censor or anything. They put it on. That's it. Within whatever limitations. Although I've seen things that I said, whoa.
They do want a sample of what you're going to send them.
Yeah.
If you're a new producer, you got to give them something.
Yeah.
So somebody could give it to you to put on or whatever, or somebody could shoot something for you as a pilot, so to speak. And then they just want to make sure you've got something that they can put on. They're not there to really censor things. They only ask that you don't use foul language. They don't care politically or whatever. I've never gotten any feedback about anything that was put on that's progressive. So, but the only thing they do ask you don't do that.
There's no commercials. You're not supposed to be overtly selling anything. But if you said, this musician is performing at such and such a venue, and they're,
There are
whatever.
exceptions now and then. Because Glendora did a show criticizing some Nassau County official who objected, and they and they threw Glendora off the air, and she sued in federal court and won. There's another one where they had a show on the marijuana party did a show, and
Rastafari.
they were thrown off the air also.
The marijuana
And they
reform.
took it to federal court, and they also won that suit. You know, like the town boards will not go to bat for you. You know, we need new town boards. Like I like to see like the Green Party parties candidates talking about public access, because this is
That's a
the only
great
thing we
idea,
have,
because that's
you know?
something that seems to get overlooked in a lot of the dialogue that's there. But it's really one of the only ways that we can really have more say over what's on the media.
Right.
And doesn't become anywhere on anybody's platform.
I wanted to say, I've done public access because Brian got me started and Terry supported us with tapes too, but Cablevision, the public access section is designed to be service oriented, and they help you and they offer a lot of support. And there's great people there that help you, but you do have to keep in mind that it's a corporation and that it's tied into government and the corporation. So you have to have a healthy sense of distrust and be very friendly with the people that are there at the public access to service. But a couple of times people have felt that there was censorship. And also, you know, Cablevision gets it to where they like it and negotiates with your local government. So you have to make sure that you make your local town government know that you want more for the public and less for Cablevision. So that's just a part of the thing. And the other thing I wanted to say was related to what Wendy said about if you could fill it up. When it was a little bit hard for Ian and I to get tapes because we don't have a TV and we didn't have a video camera. So we would just juggle and get Brian and Terry to lend us tapes and get things that we thought would be interesting to be on. And I heard somebody say that they don't like repeats. But it's okay to repeat. If you think about it, would it be horrible, thinking of the whole media culture we have, thinking of all the repeats that they have on commercial television, if somebody made a tape that said, impeach Bush, impeach Bush, impeach Bush, and they played it once a week for 6 months, is there really a problem with that? So if you put just one...
Why don't you give us your email again?
The email for us that we use is peace, P-E-A-C-E, through, T-H-R-O-U-G-H, music, cable. We don't have music and words on there yet, so I'm going to use the old thing. And that's at hotmail.com. I picked one thing that everybody should be familiar with. So send us your thoughts, ideas, material. It's fine.
Because a lot of times I'm just scanning by 20 to see what it is, and it's, so is there a schedule that you can find?
The public access shows are listed by name on the Channel 14 cable guide that comes up with the channels. Yeah,
but
that's
when
the only,
you hit the info...
When you hit the info, it just says public access.
When you hit the info,
do they have a website?
Well,
The Cablevision has a website that you can actually go to, and there's a lot of links for you to get to public access. You have to kind of click your way through there. They talk about the process itself. They talk about who to contact, and they tell you about the training that you might want to do if you don't have a camera yourself and you want to do top-notch production. They'll do it for free. It's a free thing. And what you do with that training is pretty much up to you. It's your time you have to invest. It's a little difficult if you're doing a lot of other things. But that's the only way to find out the names of the show that are on.
You know, there was a hearing on voting machines.
Thank you.
You don't have to film this, but there was a hearing on voting machines.
And that's well done.
You want me to turn it off?
Oh, right.
Well, you can run it, but
Yeah, you get 12 minutes.
on Newsday, there was a TV channel, Channel 12 was there, and there was a press conference, and the Channel 12 person was there for about 5 minutes, and they had their great big $12,000 camera, and they filmed somebody, and then they went away, and maybe 15 seconds of that got on the TV. And when you got inside to the hearings, where there was a whole bunch of people for several hours, the only people filming that and putting it on the air were 2 public access producers. You know, so if you listen to public access, you got a half an hour, of really knowledgeable people, people with computer science experts and
Saving the democracy.
Yeah,
Nothing much.
yeah.
People are taping town board meetings. A lot of public. I saw the other night the Smithtown town board meeting is on, a little heated exchange. People live busy lives. We can't make to every event, so it's important that people have access to real important information.